switch to something kind of fun / crazy because we did mention competitions, right? So
Yes.
during these competitions and the demonstrations as well, I'm not sure if this particular instance was, but we get to do board breaks and things like that. You took it to a different level, man. You took I'm not. Was it one or two baseball bats?
One baseball. The baseball bat.
It doesn't matter. You broke a baseball bat, not with your foot, with your shin.
Yes.
Walk us through that one, man.
That was a funny. That's a funny story. Yeah, I got to figure out where to start with that one. I just had to do something different. You know, I always wanted to distinguish myself from people. I think martial arts allowed me to do that in a way that allowed me to still keep a certain level, to get people to respect me to some degree, yes, but to also garner some self-respect for setting a goal and achieving or overachieving. And I like that about martial arts, and that sort of expectancy. And again, like you said, accountability, which is very important. Because I feel like if I mess up in life, Master Mar's still going to hear about it. Like, hey, you're not taking care of your family? Master Mar, call me right now. Yo, what's up? You know what I mean? Grandmaster can be like, 5th-degree black belt where? I don't see one, because you're not using it now. Most important. So the baseball bat. I think I saw someone do it on YouTube, honestly, and I was like, I could do that. Like it just came to me. Like for demonstrations, anything I've done that seemed crazy to people. First of all, Master Kim's probably done it. Second, I try to copy it or change it. Like it's like when you hear music. If you ever created music before, like the idea is not to take what you just heard and make something exactly like that. It's to take it and make something that sounds similar or feels similar. So I kind of like putting my own spin on stuff that's come before. It's not much original thought out there sometimes. And honestly, with Taekwondo, it's been around long enough to where there's really not, I always say there's no new information on what we do. There's just different ways to think about the same things. So the baseball bat was, I guess, an extension of a challenge for me. Like, hey, how can I really put myself to the test? How can I worry the most leading up to this test? Because at a certain point, you're like, okay, I have a test tomorrow. Cool. You walk in, blah, blah, blah. You can do what you need to do at a certain level. But for me, it was never about that. I was like, how can I really get the most out of this experience and still impress people at the same time? And not the people clapping. I mean, people in the front who have seen it, who've seen martial arts and been doing martial arts for longer. How can I impress them to where they're like, yo, I respect you for that. Like, that's cool. So that's really what I was shooting for. And I think I saw it somewhere and I was like, I can do it. It was like a Muay Thai guy. And I was like, that's interesting. Our shin, we think about all the kicks we do. Like when we do a front kick, if you're supposed to chamber your foot along with the leg. So that long part of your leg there, that muscle should be getting developed when you kick. So over time, like for me, I know if I pull it up now, it's like it sticks out. So I'm like, we've already been sort of training to be able to break a baseball bat should we really need to. And I really never practiced. I honestly never practiced it. Now, I did it there at the school for my test the first time. I never had people set it up for me to figure out angles. I did all that in real time. And then I was like, all right, I think I can do this. And it was really all about speed. Master Mar was at that test, drove all the way from Ohio like a G, and stood there. I think I didn't break it. I didn't break it the first time. I didn't feel like it was me, but it could have been. I feel like one of the guys moved. I felt that in the physics. But then I just looked over at Master Mar for 2 seconds and he was like, speed. And that locked me in. When he said that, it was like going right back to being in class, like everything. It was like Barry Allen in The Flash, like the electricity came back in my eyes and I just went, pow, took it away. But I also invited, people that haven't seen it before also. I wanted them to see me do something that was irregular, not something that you would expect to be done. And I was also leaving the school at that point to go to my own school. So I wanted, if that was going to be the last test that I did, I wanted to leave off in a bang. So I even had back kicks. I think I did a back kick on broken glass that day as well. Probably not as well as I wanted to do it, but still just, I want the challenge. That's what I live for that. I want the next challenge. So if I don't get it externally, I'll go internal. I always tell people that if you can't find an external challenge, go inside, you'll find one. So that was kind of a little bit of both for me. And I was genuinely worried about it. I was like, I've never practiced. I went into Dick's Sporting Goods and bought a baseball bat. And I was like, all right, cool. No, and I don't play baseball. And I was like, all right, I think this is good. You know, I knew not to buy an aluminum one. And then, you know what I mean? That was going to be a bad day. And then I just set it up. Like, here's how I think it should look. And I think it basically works like this. But the interesting part about the break was Taekwondo helped me figure out how to break it, because I'm not a Muay Thai practitioner. So I was like, how do I break this? Oh, wait, we've already been practicing this. I just need to take a step and kick. We do step kicks when we learn how to do skipping kicks as a predecessor. So I just used a template of something I already knew and then accelerated the physics in the right areas. And it just went. So that was kind of, I think I still have the bat somewhere hanging around. It's like I can't frame it quite frankly, but it lays around somewhere. I look at it like, you know, you did your thing. I was proud of it.
Well, you mentioned your Taekwondo school and you opened that up a few years back, complete Taekwondo. How did you know that this was the next step or going to be the next step in your martial arts journey?
I felt natural for me. So I think sometimes you outgrow a place. I've been teaching at Glen Ridge for 11 professionally, like on the books, 11 years. So I was like, all right, I learned as much as it's pretty much going to be the same thing if I stay. So I was like, I need the next challenge. I want to see if I can now take what I'm doing here under the banner of GRTKD, which is a great school, and then do it on my own. And, you know, honestly, like we had a really good following there, even for being, it's 30 minutes away from, we were opened up in Bergenfield, New Jersey, August 2018, with Grandmaster Davidson. So that was cool. I had the unique pleasure of having Grandmaster Kim come and teach a bunch of classes at that school. So almost in a sense, it felt like I was like redundant after he got over there. Like, what am I here for if I got you? But he was so great. He taught me, actually, I think the greatest thing I could say about Master Kim to date, and it's always something recent, is that he taught me a new way to teach. That's hard to do if you've been teaching and garnering success in a particular way. And he not subtracted, but kind of turned my head to like, okay, you did it this way for many years. Here's how you teach someone on their first day. And it was like, oh. And a lot of that new method I learned in terms of teaching and instruction, I still do today with people now. And it works. And I get results fast. And that's again, he's the world's foremost authority on Taekwondo. And I could say my name means something because it's related to him, not necessarily because of me by myself. So it's kind of an ode to him though. But I had him teaching classes there. It was great. Definitely provided a different aura about the school and whatnot. We had small complications leading up to COVID. So, but the COVID was like the perfect storm, and then we just closed down. About the same time last year. So that was a downer, but it was, again, a failure that's to be noted. You know, there are people that think that success is linear, and it's not. In most cases, you have drawbacks, you have setbacks. There are people who have opened the school more than one time. So I took it pretty hard, but I got up off my feet, and to fast forward to where I'm at today, it's like I was a whole different kind of person last year alone, and mindset. So, and body too. I mean, I changed everything about my dynamic. I gained like too much weight last year. And I noticed that. I had the self-awareness at least to identify, like Chris in the mirror, like the athletic version, the tournament version of me, the internal dialogue, I won't necessarily say, there's a lot of expletives in there, but it's like, get yourself to work. Let's go. So I was complaining about, not having a track. And I live on a long street that's got 1 mile this way and 1 mile that way. That's the track. And I take my son out there. We'll be out there tomorrow morning, and 1 mile each way. And all of a sudden, 6-7 months later, I'm right back to where I need to be. And that's funny, talking about timing. That's when I started getting phone calls about, hey, are you still teaching? Hey, you still doing this? It was like everyone knew I needed that time somehow, even the new people who didn't even know who I was. It's funny how that worked out. But
So
again,
was this part of your adjustment to? I mean, 2020 was a bastard of a year.
yeah,
But that was part of your adjustment to how
for sure.
to continue to instruct your students online this time.
Absolutely. And it was a challenge for me personally first, not even for them. It was glory for them because they still had the access to me. I had to get Master Malarkey back into master mode. I was not. And I say this, I'm emphasizing, probably overemphasizing, but out of shape for me is still in shape to most people, but it wasn't the shape I'm used to being in. So I subtracted all of that excess weight, all the excess baggage mentally. Oh, you failed this, you didn't do this right, yada, yada. Oh, this is unspoken of. No. School closed. I'm still here, still moving around. There's still people training with me, period. Hop on board or don't. That's kind of how I operate. So I had to once I started getting rid of the excuses, man, the power that you have here, the power that you have. I mean, I got to a point where I think I fasted for 5 days, just water, straight water, 5 days, just to see what I could do here. I was sharper those 5 days, sharper, not slower, sharper, because your brain was taking things like, hey, I'm not getting the food. I'm not getting what I need from here. So we're going to have to take from some other places. And it's fascinating what your mind, literally, I put my mind to the test. What is it? What can you do? We're talking no sugar, no alcohol, no nothing. 8 months. And women do this. I can't really compare it because women do this when they get pregnant, right? They can't have anything for that amount of time. So, but if it was a win, a personal win for me, it was like my cookie jar, so to speak. Like, okay, you did this. You accomplished something in 2020. And now how can you help other people while you're still helping yourself? That's why 2020 wasn't a wash for me. Because something bad happened, but something bad happens all the time to people. There are people that, there's that Gandhi quote about there was a quote where he said I was crying once because I had no shoes and then I saw a person that had no feet. You know what I mean? There's always a worse situation, but you are where you are. How do you martial art your way, forward? And that's kind of the concept. How do you go forward from where you are when you get setback? And setbacks sometimes are just to propel you forward. And I see that now. And it also allows me to empathize with people who are a little heavier, right? And how hard that journey is to get down to that weight. Because I was at a weight I never was at. So now I know, oh man, this is what I literally empathize with you now. And when you learn empathy and compassion for people, it makes you even greater, I think.
Yeah, it kind of goes to, I mean, my guys in my car club, we say this too, is we took it from Luke Cage. Forward,
my man.
Forward always, but the full quote of that is forward always, sometimes backwards to go forward.
That's exactly right. That's
exactly how that goes. With you being a business owner,
yeah,
I mean, we all have challenges, especially being people of color. Now, are there any challenges with not just being a business owner, but being a person of color in the martial arts community?
I don't think so much in the martial arts community because, I'm typically re-entering. Whenever people see me now, it's in a capacity where I'm either going to be working with everybody in some way, usually instructional, or I'm taking class with them at a high level. So the business side doesn't matter to them there. I've experienced what I was able to deduce was racism, even though it wasn't overt. People that would rather train with, and I can't blame them, train with Master Kim instead of me. But, that was, you saw it, you felt it, like, okay, they just don't think I'm legitimate enough by myself or just as me, being a Black man, period. There's not a lot of us in martial arts, but the ones that I know are phenomenal. So yeah, I got a little bit of that stuff. There are probably unique challenges in some way, shape, or form. I'm kind of used to it at this point, so I'm not really worried about anyone's opinion of me whatsoever. I'm just I think to me, these do the talking, and in terms of not fighting someone, but in terms of what I'm able to show and teach, the value and the quality I get out of some of my students that I teach now. I taught when they were 6 or 7. Now they're 21, 22, which makes me feel old. But it's nice that people remember you for because remember, it's not the Taekwondo they remember you for, it's the relationship that you have with them. And that has no color to it. Because I can make a connection. I always say I can bridge any gap. I can talk to anybody, I can relate with anybody, and it's shown. When people want to do business with you, that's a different story, because I think there are business things that people attach color to. Like, you know, black businesses not being legit or overpriced or whatever. Black business doesn't mean to me that it should be anything less than what you pay for somewhere else. It should
Absolutely.
be the same exact thing. If you don't want to pay my price, like cost, value, and price are three different things, right? Cost is what it costs me to do this, right? Realistically, the value is what your determination is of it as the person that's the recipient or the customer or whatever. Price is including profit for me, right? So when you tell someone the price of something, and I've had this, and RIP to these conversations, I've had people within the past 8, 9, 10 months where I told them this is what it costs to work with me for an hour. This is what it costs to work with me for a month. And they're like, all right, talk to you later. Never get back to me. Maybe they can't afford it, whatever, but it's not like it's crazy. But that's what I'm worth. And sometimes they're just like, whoa, that's too much, or what? That's up to you. Because I've got a bunch of other people saying different things. So I don't ever push, not that you do it for financial purposes, and that can't be first, but you do have to put a value. I do put a value in how many years I've spent doing what I've done. How many times, when I ask people, how many times have you gotten punched in the face to learn what you've learned? When you're learning with me, you don't have to go through getting punched in the face in order to learn this lesson I'm going to teach you. You didn't have to put a bag of ice on your eye. You didn't have the bumps and bruises that I took. You guys didn't see the unpolished version of me. You saw the polished version. That was after, you know, I got hit. Master Mar, funny enough, when I was sparring with him way back, humbled me so wonderfully, because I never forgot it. Because I thought, you know, at one point I was just, you know, and I'm very young in practice at this point, very young, probably teenager, and like fresh black belt, I think I'm the hottest thing out. And Master Bar just put a kick right here on my eye, and just all that ego just went right through the floor. So, you know, having the right team of people around you makes a big difference in who you become later. And that's, you know, I don't really advertise myself, even though I have my own Instagram, Facebook, yada yada. I spend a lot of time trying to big up all the people that I work with, because the student has to be receptive enough to learn what I'm teaching them. The real hard work takes place in the student, not from the teacher. Teaching to me is easy. It's the student that's got to be ready to receive the information and work on it, especially when I tell you that's not correct, especially when I tell you not like this, especially when I tell you this doesn't work like that. It takes
I look at it like you have to be willing to accept criticism.
For sure.
Constructive criticism, of course, for sure. Without taking offense or,
yep,
you know, having that, well, I already know how to do this idea, right, you know?
Absolutely.
It's being open, like you said before.
You have to be open to learning. It's a must. I think for your whole life, you should be learning every moment you can. Some ways you subconsciously learn, some ways you're more actively learning, but you should always be learning, in my opinion. But yeah, that's just my opinion on things at this moment. But it's a mature perspective for sure. I think about martial arts all the time. So it's, you know, when I'm in a uniform, that's me. That's how I feel like that's who I am. If I were to put an identity to it, I don't think I could really be separated from. I can separate my identity from what I'm currently doing, and the impact that I've left on people, which is great. And I'm not done yet. I got plenty more years. So I'm ready to. I feel afraid to die really until I've left more of a dent in what we do. Not to be remembered, but for people to understand that what we do has so many benefits. You know, so that's kind of the mission I have right now. Pass it along, pay it forward.